Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
And I'm Rhian Holmes.
And today is, it's our second, no, I'm a liar. I'm a dirty liar. It's our third three picks series. And today we have Rhian Holmes, who you'll know from our It's Wonderful Life episode. And we'll get to our other picks later in the month. But to kick us off, as you know, the three-pick series, I Have No Choice, and three films are chosen. And the films that have been chosen, none of them I especially hate. So it's gone quite well, especially Finn's choices. Finn's three choices were three films I already was going to do, and it's just nice to brought them forward. Rhian, why don't you tell us first about the film we're going to be talking about today?
Today, I thought I would subject Tom to my potentially favourite film of all time.
Okay.
Stephen Chbosky's classic, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Dear friend, I haven't really talked to anyone outside of my family all summer, but tomorrow is my first day, and I really want to turn things around this year.
You know, they say if you make one friend on your first day, you're doing okay.
Hey, freshman toad! Go get him! Come on, hop! Let's move it, boys!
If my English teacher's the only friend I make today, that would be sort of depressing.
So, Charlie, this is what fun looks like.
Welcome to the island of misfit toys.
Do you like football?
Love it. Be aggressive! Passive aggressive!
What is she doing? Don't worry, she does it all the time.
And I resent ever being called basic for liking this film. I think just let things be good, you know?
Well, I think there's a larger conversation that preempting usually on my little pad. What's the change is one line, but I knew there was going to be more, so I
know what it is. I know what you're going to say.
No, there's plenty. There was a lot more. There's lots of little things throughout. I think overall, I think it's great. Yeah, overall, I think it's a great film. I do enjoy it. There's lots of things I would change.
Yeah, I mean, is it a perfect film?
No.
Not by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it shouldn't be consigned to the realm of other kind of kitschy rom-coms, because personally, I think it's so much more than that.
Do you think if people knew how crazy you really were, no one would ever talk to you?
Come on, let's go be psychos together.
So what are you gonna do when you get out of this place?
I really want to be a writer, but I don't know what I'd write about.
You could write about us.
Call it Slut and the Falcon. Make us solve crimes. C-, ladies and gentlemen, I am below average! Below average!
Why do I and everyone I love pick people who treat us like we're nothing?
We accept the love we think we deserve.
You see things, and you understand. You're a wallflower.
I didn't think anyone noticed me. I know there are people who say all these things don't happen. I know these will all be stories someday. But right now, we are alive. And in this moment, I swear, we are infinite.
Oh yeah, I mean it's and in a way, anytime it does lean into the kitschiness, it's to play the. I mean, it's hard to call it a twist, but no, it's a twist. The relationship of Aunt Helen is and what comes of that. I mean, the imbuing of darkness throughout the film. makes it what it is. And then every time we do get something a bit more soppy, a bit more, jovial and happy, it then brings us back down to the horrific reality of Charlie's situation. Are you a book person, Rhian? Are you a book person?
I was in my kind of early teens, and this was a book that I read and kind of held fierce admiration for. I don't read enough now. After, actually. Yeah, and it was interesting because I think to an extent they kind of watered down the character of Charlie for Hollywood. I feel like if they'd stuck, religiously to the text, he would have come across a lot more childlike, which I think wouldn't have translated well in certain scenes. But I don't disagree with the choice. I think it was good to have Logan Lerman play it the way that he did. Yeah.
I haven't read the book. I had an ex who didn't like the film as much because she felt that the book was better, and I can't exactly remember. It was about the Aunt Ellen relationship, so maybe you can illuminate us to that throughout the show.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read it, but I feel like they do handle it somewhat differently. But I think reading it, I was still kind of in the dark as much as I was in the film.
Yeah. I think it's, it's crude to talk about it in this way because it is obviously sexual assault, but it's a really good twist and it's dealt with very well. And the little bits that we get are really, I'd say, very tastefully handled. And one of my great issues with the film is the lack of Joan Cusack, and that we can't, you give us a little bit of Joan Cusack, that's not enough. However, her lovely touching performance and the fact that, in a way, we know Joan Cusack and she's everybody's mother, or more so, she's everybody's headmaster.
Yes.
We've lost all of your children. Would it be
She leaves us wanting more.
This is my impression of her drinking beer. But
I've seen a lot of Cusack impressions on my social media this week, and I wanted to send you every single one.
But I'm not a TikTok. Are they TikToks?
They are.
Well, this is the thing. I'm not a TikTok person. Where are the Cusack? Well, we'll get into a larger Cusack conversation. But where are the impressions coming from? Is it School of Rock? Is it Addams Family Values?
It's anything. It's just her general demeanor. Good. I watched a video called "Joan Cusack Makes a Smoothie," and it's just it's cinema. It is cinema.
And then obviously she's great in and Out, which she got a supporting actress nomination for, and she should have won. What else? And yeah, no, I do love Joan Cusack, and but we'll get to that later. However, her performance really does, in those few scenes that we get, bring home the nature. Let's jump into YouTube comments. I'm not ashamed to say that about 4 years ago, I did the be aggressive, passive aggressive at my brother's football game in the stands. Then the guy behind me literally leaped out of his seat and tackled me into a hug and thanked the Lord that there was a strange kid who was willing to quote Patrick. We've been friends ever since. What a charming tale.
That is so sweet.
And there's only one other one I found of note. It's on Netflix. Let's get emo.
It's actually not on Netflix anymore, much to my dismay. They took it off.
Well, this is why, strange idea, get a DVD. Look at the, I want to watch A Time to Kill. It's not on Netflix, but I have a DVD. I want to watch Notes on a Scandal. I always want to watch Notes on a Scandal. Judi Dench, Cate Blanchett. What a wonderful film.
See, why would I get DVDs so I could just visit the one-man blockbuster video that is Thomas Carruthers?
This is true. This is true, and I've got Blu-rays. Notes on a Scandal's great film. Do you want to fuck me, Barbara? It's a quote that I wish I could quote more, but nobody would understand what I'm saying. Same as
everything you say.
This is true. There are certain ones that are too good. I made a great joke the other day about 50s relationships, and there was a friend who was talking about talking to multiple men, and I thought, well, I mean, oh my geez, And then I made a joke saying, well, I guess I'm still in a Sadie's, I guess my most progressive female thought is a Sadie Hawkins dance. And it was a great joke, but nobody understood it. And I was,
See,
they should have watched
this
this
is
film.
where, yeah, I would have come in handy in this conversation.
But of course, you would remember that from First Being a Wallflower. I would remember it from Being Alive in 1955.
Of course.
This is true. Let's dive straight into best 10-minute stretch. I mean, what are your nominations?
The first one that came to mind was the breakdown sequence, I called it, towards the end. Just it's shot so well, and like the smash cuts between, you know, him and the empty house and all of his memories, and the fact that they're like manipulated. So everyone's looking at him. It's just it's gorgeous, and like the score for that, I know we'll talk about soundtrack corner later, but just the underscore of like the violins and the little piano melody is just like gut wrenching.
Very good.
I also had Charlie getting high for the first time, obviously into the tunnel sequence, of course, pivotal moment.
I've got that down. Yeah, first night as a solid. Says great 10 minutes because we've focused inadvertently, I feel, a lot on the more dour aspects of the film, but it's also greatly joyous and very enjoyable.
And I think that's the moment where he kind of solidifies his place in the gang, and he kind of he has these bonds with these people for the first time, and when they toast to him, it's such a nice moment. As many people will like write it off as being too cheesy, for me it's perfect. I think it's
for me, I think it's the problem that Patrick makes literally everybody in the house toast him. Yeah. I think it should have been a private toast with him and Emma and the other two. That would have been nice because everybody else is just in the background and they're like, yeah, who's this?
Who's this guy? The idea that he can command the attention of a room full of drunk and high people is staggering.
And I don't want to play, I mean, this isn't going to be a hot take. I guess my hot take is that Joe Cusack is the winner of the film, but there is just no doubt in my mind that, I mean, Ezra Miller steals the show.
He does.
And I guess he's aided by the best character. You know, it's the best written character, but also he clearly brings a lot to the performance. It's
Absolutely.
A marvelous. Yeah.
It's another case where I've had to kind of separate the art from the artist.
Is he bad too?
Well, there was a scandal last year where there was a video of him choking one of his fans and throwing her to the ground, which completely blindsided everyone. No one knew the context. No one, like, nothing came of it after that. Nobody came forward and said, "Oh yeah, that was me," and it's just kind of there on the internet, which is unfortunate. But nothing will detract from my love for Patrick as a character.
This is true. It's one of those where I can, in my head, I can go, yeah, this film is infinitely better with a recasting of Sam. I'd even maybe lose Logan Lerman. I think he does a great job.
Really?
But I think he does a great job, and I enjoy him for the most part. But I think I don't know. I think there's something missing. I think he's not too normal, dare I say, but he's too clearly. Yeah, he'd be fine. I don't know how to phrase it. But
I think I know what you mean. It's kind of what I was touching on with the book to film changes.
Right, okay,
I think the way Logan Lerman played it was less kind of neurodivergent, whereas in the book he's very clearly stunted, having spent time in the hospital away from his typical social circles. So I think,
and
like I say, it's definitely watered down, but I don't disagree with it.
And it leads, I think, to some of the larger problems in the plot. I mean, one of my biggest changes, I think we've had this conversation before, and then that's when you first explained to me his nature in the book. I mean, the kiss scene comes off as absurd almost. I think we have, you know, glimpses of him not understanding socially what to do, and obviously he's enamored with Sam, and we get that, but it just comes absolutely out of nowhere, and it's ridiculous.
Whereas it would be in character if they'd kind of explored it a bit more from the offset.
And also, terrible dare from Patrick. That's not a dare.
It really is. Like, if it was to go how the group expected it to go.
Kiss your girlfriend.
Shit, really?
That's a bad. What? That's not even. And also, is it a purely? They call it truth or dare, but every dare's a kiss. Are they basically playing spin the bottle, but you pick the bottle? I don't know.
I mean, that is very realistic to a high school party, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't.
Moving on.
No, here's a really depressing story. The one game of spin the bottle I ever played was at a high school party, and I ended up landing on. I was basically Charlie, and on the girl. It was a real Jesse's girl situation, and it ended on the girl who was basically they were talking, and she was going to be in the relationship with this guy, and I went up. And I kissed her on the cheek and I said, "Have a great time together." It was basically Billy Zane.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought, oh, that was quite nice. And I was like, maybe, I don't know.
I feel like mine could be potentially more odd, not as depressing. The first time I was presented with a spin the bottle scenario, I chose to be a spectator because I was utterly terrified of other people.
Yeah. And then, because then I almost immediately went into a 3-year relationship. It's so, not boring, because I never wanted to cheat on her, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll just stand here, I guess. I was never, there was never a thought in my mind to join the game, Christ. But I thought, oh, I guess I'll go have a coffee.
Yeah. House parties are not for the betrothed, I'm afraid.
God, you sound like Noel Coward. I have other 10-minute stretches. It's a tough one because it's really 2 5-minutes, but I can cheat. The Rocky Horror stuff. Just excellent. Patrick's marvelous Frankenfurter into Emma's best scene, and there's a reasoning why it's her best scene, because we don't hear her voice, and it's Susan Sarandon's voice.
That is very true. My sister watched it with me most recently, and she was insufferable because every 2 seconds she'd be like, I can't deal with her accent. And I didn't think it was terrible, but maybe that's because I've watched it upwards of 10 times and I'm used to it.
It's not as bad as, it's weird because this is going on 6 years before. It's not as bad as Little Women. And I don't understand how she's gotten worse. In Little Women, there was a scene with her and not Jamie Dornan, Happy Valley Rapist.
I know who you mean.
That guy. And Happy Valley Rapist, who was then a really nice guy in Grantchester. And it was like, oh, you can't be a nice priest. Obviously, that's not how acting works. But and there was a scene where they were both going in and out of the accent, and it was genuinely terrible. The ideal version of Little Women is cutting absolutely everything out apart from the love triangle, and then having it be a nice tight 90. And then I don't care about her book. I just don't give a shit.
What about Beth?
Great. Great. I don't care. The minute that Florence Pugh and the letter, and she's like, oh, I'm going to marry Laurie. That was great. And then I don't care about her goddamn book. And the French guy. It's like, oh, Vivi.
The French guy, I didn't care for it. She could have just finished the book.
Oh no, this is the problem, isn't it? Is because Greta Gerwig's like, oh, I'm going to flip it. Because I'm going to make her have the French guy, but maybe it's an illusion. Maybe it's just what Tracy Letts, what her dad from Ladybird wants. And because everybody thinks that the book's a betrayal of the character. Just, if you're going to adapt, it's like doing a Twilight Zone play. You can't have it both ways. You can't make fun of it, but also be sincere. You can't be progressive with a 1920s book.
But she tried her darndest, and you can't fault her for that.
I can't fault her. And it was a worthy adapted screenplay nomination, but controversy aside, the real controversy is that Noah Baumbach wasn't nominated for Marriage Story, not her, let's be honest. However, pardon me, however, I do love them as a power couple. That was great. When Laura Dern, who obviously was in both films, won her Oscar, and she was like, Noah, Greta. It was like wonderful. She's like a fun aunt.
Do you have a favorite band?
Well, I think the Smiths are my favorite.
Are you kidding? I love the Smiths. Best breakup band ever. What's your favorite song?
Asleep. It's from Louder Than Bombs. I heard it on Ponytail Derek's mixtape.
Oh, that works on so many levels.
I can make you guys a copy if you want.
What about Ides? You love Ides, right?
Yeah, of course, they're great.
Not a band, Charlie.
It's a record store downtown. Things sound so much better on vinyl.
You know, I used to be popular before Sam got me some good music.
So you be careful. She'll ruin your life forever.
That's okay.
Hey, nothing. Hey, nothing.
Let it go! Jesus, it's an antique joke. It's over.
So what are you gonna do when you get out of this place?
Well, my Aunt Helen said I should be a writer, but I don't know what I'd write about.
You could write about us.
Yeah. Call it Slut and the Falcon. Make us solve crimes.
You guys seem really happy together. How long have you been boyfriend and girlfriend?
He's not my boyfriend. He's my stepbrother.
I have Christmas. Christmas is wonderful. And it's sort of a high. It's, you know, obviously there's lots of lows, but that's just a nice clean high. There's no depression or PTSD that makes its way into it, and it's just nice.
Wholesome Secret Santa fun.
Yes, especially his dad giving him $50. Very much enjoy that. I love Dylan McDermott as a
Although it struck me as odd because he ends up getting presents for the whole gang as well as Secret Santa.
He's definitely needs some more income for all that he gets.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth's gift was $40. Like just $40 cash to print Rocky in color.
Why didn't he just... Well, no, I guess he can't print. Also, is it a monthly magazine? Who's reading this magazine?
I don't know. I feel like it's just for them.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Because
if it was in modern day, it would be a podcast. I'm just saying.
This is true. And as the day we are recording this, I released our Rocky Horror episode yesterday.
Brilliant.
It's a sign. Those presents. Let's break down these presents. They range from good to bad, I guess. I don't like the bubble guy. Who is the bubble guy? He knows me. He knows me.
It was just a silly little side thing. It shows that he's got a good relationship with everybody, but obviously we know who the main ones are.
Oh, we know who the main one is. And and everybody else knows who the main one is. And it's insane that Mary Elizabeth even makes an attempt after... Maybe she's naive to it, but come on. I mean, you don't back a horse that's not in the race. I mean, even child... I mean, come on, Mary. What are you doing?
It seems very out of character for Mary Elizabeth.
And then she gets sort of shafted with her little button of like, I'm dating this guy.
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of a lazy way to tie up the loose ends and be like, oh, he's okay now. He's not a bad dude. She's fine with it.
Yeah.
Whereas realistically, she'd be slagging him off for eternity.
Yeah, and I like their relationship of like, oh, she's the one who's always like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And she hates him, and then that's attraction. I do like the seeding of that. Yeah. I have the trip scene, which is, I mean, other than the suicidal breakdown, the trip scene is the roughest. Sort of
the
stretch.
Cafeteria.
Yeah, into Patrick and Charlie having their little time together, and that period of them becoming closer friends after following the kiss the person in the room. No, it's just great from Ezra Miller, and it's wonderful from from Logan Lerman, and great acting from Jock Guy, who's
Brad, yeah.
Scott Pilgrim. I'm finding his name now, but great Pot Pilgrim, Jesus Christ, Scott Pilgrim guy, Johnny Simmons. Johnny Simmons.
Just the underlying tension in there is just incredible.
I'll ruin one of my specific favorite parts. I love the moment of thanks for stopping them.
Yeah.
Really great moment. I mean, I you can look at, giving retribution to that sort of character, but no, it's just multi-dimensional. He contains multitudes.
It's not an attempt at redeeming him by any means, but I think it shows his inner conflict just in that one moment.
It's a great moment. Do we have any other nominations for 10 Minute Stretch? Cusack. That's that.
Yeah.
Which leads us into, I believe, Tom's weirdly specific favourite part of the film. I have his Vietnam impression.
Yeah.
It's just
got best lines.
It's just a great leading in. It tells us all we need to know. And I love references to Nam. Anytime Vietnam
that back in Nam
is called
that
Nam.
prick punch killed my best friend in a Saigon whorehouse. Just brilliant.
Just good.
Brilliant writing.
Derek's tape. Hi. doing Janice from Chandler. I remember Chandler when I heard this song.
Funny Valentine.
But Derek, I love Charlie at the first dance, drinking juice and his tie like it's straight whiskey, and he's got his tie undone. He's like,
that is a nice touch. And when he walks, that whole living room routine sequence, and when he kind of walks in on beat to join them, I just think it's really satisfying.
The Buzz haircut, of all the high jokes, I love his little, you're gonna
great touch.
doing some great just late 70s Woody Allen stage comedy there. Robin Williams sort of great not drop the mic moment, but the where's Michael tonight? Oh, he shot himself last May. Great moment.
I think that kind of alludes to his mental state, for lack of a better phrase, as well, because he doesn't know how to breach that conversation in a way that's going to be, comfortable for the other person. But then I suppose nobody really does.
No. So he goes. So we don't get it. A strict timeline. So he went into. So did he go into hospital as a kid after the death of Aunt Helen, or did he go in last May? Because Paul Rudd says, "I know you had a hard time last year."
Yeah, I feel like it's not. I don't think it's specified, but I feel like it would have been as a result of Michael's death that he went into hospital and then missed out on starting high school at the right time.
Yeah. Which would have given him another year with Patrick and Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. My pen.
Or did he just miss out on a year of middle school? Because I feel like he is the right age to be there, to be a freshman.
Why would Paul Rudd know? Unless they gave all of his teachers a sort of brief?
Potentially.
I don't know. The moment of it's another Aunt Helen seeding moment of she had bad things done to her and she got through it. She was my favorite person in the world until now. Lovely little moment. Great Paul Rudd moment. Better day than Jogan off Sinatra. And that's another one where I think if we had more of an not necessarily an awkwardness about him, but again, I don't. from what we get of the Charlie in this film, I don't really think he'd come in that full suit. Maybe on the last day, maybe, but not.
But that's what I mean. That's very in character for book Charlie. I think they tried to like you say, plant the seeds without sustaining it fully, because he still needed to kind of have some airs and graces about him to get into the gang. But the whole idea is that they took him under their wing, which I feel like it still comes across well.
Yeah. I love great song choice of Don't Dream It's Over for the sad prom. I should have been seeing Crowded House, but that got coroned. Love Crowded House. I love just before the kiss scene of when he's talking about how much he doesn't like his relationship with Mary Elizabeth, and Dylan McDermott says, "Jesus Christ, I need to use the phone," and he's got a breakdown scheduled for next October. Maybe a little bit too early, I don't know, but just sort of we'll make fun of it. Yeah, it works, I guess. Your specific sort of favourite parts of the film?
I don't know if this is specific enough, but the toast, that you see things and you understand you're a wallflower.
Sorry, multiple. Maybe this will come on because I noted most of them, but there are lines where I just go, oh, it's just like rough. It's just like there's a couple of real big ones, but
yeah, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad. Yeah. But it's very much like they think they're the coolest people in the world, and when you watch it as a young person, you think they are the coolest people in the world. But even as you grow out of that mentality, the sentiment's still there of like, oh, you know, they're having a good time.
The worst line, of course, is unfortunately the final one, which leaves a big stain.
I also had really specific part. When he's just met Sam and Patrick and they drive him home and they have their little like sibling squabble, but then you think they're just going to drive away, and then they turn around and say, "Bye, Charlie." And there's just that little moment where it's like they've invited him into their world, and it's crazy and it's lively, but he's there. He's made an impact on them.
He's in, and also he paid for the meal.
He did.
He did pay for the meal. Do you have any other specific favourite parts?
I think that's it.
That's it. Then soundtrack corner. It's a great soundtrack. Although I don't really enjoy any of the dialogue about the Smiths in the film, I am a huge Smiths fan. I mean, I'm a depressive white guy, so it's sort of in the catalogue. But I do love the Smiths. Do you like the Smiths, Rhian?
I do. It's funny because all of these kind of classic artists, this film was my introduction to them, because obviously I was 10 when this film came out. And so, you know, things like Come On Eileen, Heroes, like these, I'm all like, yeah, Perks song. Obviously not now, but
no, you don't. No, I have to. Maybe I'm the cool guy, but I was like, oh, these are all songs I already know and already enjoy. Of them,
good for you.
Of them, is there a specific? We usually split it two ways. We say, what's your favourite song on the soundtrack, full stop, and what's your favourite use for song?
Okay. I'd say my favourite use is Come On Eileen.
Yeah.
Just because it gets everybody. It's an electric moment.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a phenomenal song. It's my dad heard the song through the wall and then came in after the scene and went, "Degsies." It's a great track.
My favourite song, as much as I resent the way it was used, was Heroes. Because how do these, you know, indie music buffs not know the whole time that the song is Heroes? They're searching desperately for it, and it's David Bowie.
This is the thing. It's not some niche song.
Exactly.
It keeps saying the word heroes. It repeatedly says the word heroes. Even if you were going to make a hazard guess, you would go, they kept saying heroes. Yeah, they would even, if they didn't call it the Tunnel Song, they would call it the Hero Song. Little do they know that that's, I can't think of an example at current, but why couldn't they have found a song that doesn't have the title in the song or something?
Well, the song they were going to use originally was Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
Which is a real, what a choice. I mean, great song, but different mood.
Absolutely. Like, it's a lot more mellow. But I think it captures like the theme a bit more specifically.
That would really work as a song that Sam shows to Charlie and it's like, oh yeah, listen to this song. And then he sat crying in the snow, which I did in Philadelphia. Sat, cried in the snow and listened to Landslide. Did you know?
I think,
oh, go on.
I was just going to say, as much as it makes you laugh, Heroes is a perfect song.
Oh, it is, yeah.
The swell.
I mean, it's a timeless song and it always will be, as identified in Jojo Rabbit, which also ended with Helden,
It did.
the German version of Heroes. Go on then, better. I mean, I think it has to be this. I think I'll give this the credit it kind of deserves. Even if I do cringe very hard when Sam goes, I found the tunnel song. We'll get to it in fun facts. Stephen Chaboyski does have a reasoning. I think my personal favourite song of all of these is Don't Dream It's Over. That's just an incredible song that I've always loved as a Crowded House fan. Asleep, just a great song. Although it is, I don't know what it is about the relationship of the Smiths to media, but that sort of, I love the Smiths. You love the Smiths? It's just...
Oh my gosh, yeah. Very 500 Days of Summer.
Well, no, I was going to say that's one where it works. I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's because it's fleeting. And also it's the reaction of, oh shit, from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah. Come on. I don't know. I think it's more charming there. Well, no, that's the thing. It's not like that. It's not, oh, it's whimsy and, oh my God, you love the Smiths? It's like, oh shit. She looks like that. She is so lovely and charming, and she likes the Smiths. It's a cherry. I think that's it. Any other notations for Soundtrack Corner? Bust a Move, great song. Because it could have been very easy to really have us hate Craig and put on, I don't know, some real shit. But,
I still hate Craig.
Oh, who wouldn't hate Craig? But I'm with him. It's a party, my man. Don't put on B-side from the first Morrissey, not even Smiths, the first Morrissey solo album. Oh, yeah. Oh.
But we're feeling how he's feeling at that point, so it's just jarring as hell.
Yeah. There's a great scene in the movie Lars and the Real Girl, a wonderful Ryan Gosling's sneaky best performance. And he puts on his Talking Heads Live Stop Making Sense mixtape. And there's a bit where he's in the corner crying to This Must Be the Place. And, well, I mean, it's pretty apt. Best single minute. You kicked us off, so I'll throw out my nominations. Rudd intro. Adore Paul Rudd in this film. Has there ever been a more idea? Well, no, there obviously has. Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society. Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. If I wanted more of something in this film, I'd probably want more Paul Rudd.
He just gives off English teacher energy, I think, and it's such a soothing aura.
Mr. Anderson, he's a subtle one because he's not in as much of the film as we perhaps would like, but he is up there in the canon of great touching teachers.
Yeah.
I've touched all of your kids, and they've touched me too. Another great School of Rock moment. How does he manage to get away? Because the next time we cut to him, he's already down the hallway.
He's gone.
And then everybody's chasing him. The police were at the door. Anyway.
Took the lift.
Well, yeah, I have that. I have Eileen. Very nice little moment. The rundowns of everybody that he does.
Like the gang intros. I like that.
And from when Charlie knows a little bit more, and we are introduced to Sam's sort of first year of high school, which was quite eventful, unfortunately, as we come to learn, and then sort of our intro to Patrick and Brad's relationship, as well as the kleptomaniac, and just good stuff. Just nice.
It's nice. It's nicely placed as well, because it gives the feeling that, you know, as Charlie's getting to know them, so are we, rather than it being like an initial thing of like, here's the rundowns of all these different people that you've just met for the first time. Yeah. Stats just appear in the corner.
Sad Sadie Hawkins' Arrival. I very much enjoy Sad Arrival, which is the movie Arrival, which is a very sad movie. But the Sadie Hawkins Arrival, where Kate Walsh does some incredible acting for 5 seconds and goes, "You must be very," just that wonderful pause for far too long, and then some great Dermot. Charlie tells me you're a Buddhist.
You keep calling a Buddhist.
Buddhist, give me a smile.
It's so like intrinsically a dad move.
I think Dylan McDermott's really. I think it's a very well cast movie. Apart from 2 roles that we may talk about later. Do you have any other nominations for Best Single Minute? Have I missed much of anything?
I really liked the cafeteria fight, as you said earlier. Just the way it's all choreographed is brilliant, and when Sam runs in to kind of intervene and the others are holding her back,
fucking
that's really...
tosses her on the floor. Really rough. I didn't like that. I mean, I don't even know if it was realistic.
I mean, it is kind of sensationalized, but at the same time, it needed to build to get to the point of blackout, and then.
And you know what I also don't like? Sorry, I do like, is that we don't have Charlie seeing Sam getting thrown, and that's the reason. That's the reason why he comes, and he's like, "Wait, you touched? Oh no, you touched Sam. That now I'm going to help." He's helping Patrick. Not that he is for, abusing a woman getting thrown on the floor, but the fact that it's not for his love, that it is for his friends. And touch my friends. Go on, take it away. I'll let you.
Touch my friends again, I'll blind you. Oh, brilliant.
It's a bit much as well. I feel like.
Again, it's very Charlie to overstep the mark and to say something like that.
It feels like it needs the 500 days of recurring. It needs the 500 days of summer conversation after, where they have the argument where she's like, "Oh, was that for my benefit?" But I guess it's not for a big romance thing, and that he didn't start the fight. Yeah. So I don't know why I'm comparing the scenes, because they're very different. Shower sex. Great film. Love 500 Days. I famously watched it twice on a plane to Florida when I was in peak sad Tom mood. I was like, "What's this movie?" Because I was trying to find the movie where Harrison Ford and Brendan Fraser cure Brendan Fraser's cancer kid. And I was like, "Oh, he's throwing plates. This must be it." And it wasn't. And
little did you know.
And little did I know. And he's called Tom.
Perfect moment. The running to the bleachers scene after they've not graduated, but they've had their last day. And this prompted me to find a fun fact. The actors of the 4 main characters, so Logan Lerman, Ez Miller, Em Watson, and Mae Whitman, they never had a prom or like an official graduation ceremony, which I think is really nice, because it's kind of like they had that pseudo experience. And I think for a lot of people watching as well, they didn't have at least the movie moment that they wanted out of high school, so they can kind of live vicariously through that. I'm talking about myself.
Well, yes.
As we know.
I don't. I've always liked the word vicariously.
It's good. It's a good word.
That sounds like a Persephone Wallflower line. It's like, I always like the word vicariously. Maybe it's because it's
means through something else.
Vicarious.
You see things through other people. You're a wallflower.
You're a vicarious. You're vicarious. You just keep saying vicarious.
Well,
We are
wallflowers do live
vicarious.
vicariously.
This is true. I don't like the title really. That's my first change. I know what a wallflower is, but come on, just.
I guess in a sense as well, they're not, because they
Oh,
have their
yeah.
lives and their own action.
There's 2 scenes where they're actually being wallflowers, of like when he's leaning against the wall at the dance, and then he gets in with the dance, and then when Sam's leaning at the Sadie Organs dance because Craig didn't come. Mary Elizabeth.
I guess he's the biggest wallflower, but
yeah.
The insinuation from the rest of the gang is that, oh, we're all wallflowers, but they're not.
No.
They got their own shit.
They really are overly enthusiastic and energetic people who.
They're all trying to be the main character.
I mean, it's not the worst. Well, we'll get to it. Best line.
I have so many. They're all from Patrick.
That's absolutely fine. We'll go back and forth. You just can't sit there and put everybody's lives ahead of yours and think that counts as love. Very
brilliant.
Very good for you, Sam.
You should write about us. Call it Slut and the Falcon. We can solve crimes.
I dare you to kiss the prettiest girl in the room on the lips. And notice I charitably said girl and not person, because let's face it, I'd smoke all of you bitches. Which is a great line, undermined by the ensuing action.
The only reason I watched that scene. My life is officially an after-school special. Son of a bitch.
I you know, if my Aunt Helen was still here, I could talk to her. It's just sad. It's just rough.
It's sad. Of course, we accept the love we think we deserve.
Which is good. I think of all the vaguely cringeworthy lines, I think that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the one, because multiple of these get repeated throughout. And I think that's the one where, when it is repeated, I'm fine with it. It's like, oh, okay. No, that's a fine line. It's not too cringeworthy. Maybe it's because it's Paul Rudd's initial delivery. I think if Emma Watson said that, I would go, oh, piss off.
Yeah, and it shows he's learning,
and
that he's taking from what
he's learning.
Seeing.
He's adapting. Oh my god.
He sees things and he understands. He's a wallflower. Do you have any more?
If you fail me, you get me next semester.
Yeah. Oh, I've got the ensuing line, which is "I'm below average," and the whole celebration on the hill.
And it's just got that sad tinge to it. All of that sort of celebratory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
they know that it's going to be moving on.
Yeah.
For a lot of them.
One
line that hit me differently watching it, because I hadn't seen it since I moved out. And then I watched it again, and it's towards the end where they've come back from college for Christmas, and she says, "It's another world and it gets better." And that was just like, oh.
It's one of my changes. Actually.
Really?
Because this is depressing, but you know, that idea that things will get better at uni or something, you know.
Well, it doesn't even have to be uni. Just, you know, it's reinforcing that there is a life outside of high school, and a lot of people, when they're in the thick of it, it's really hard to remember that. Yeah,
true.
And it's like, these are all people that, you know, they're kind of wise beyond their years, whether because of the things they enjoy or like the trauma that they've experienced, the music, you know, they're old souls, and so they're searching for a place where they fit beyond their own little social circle. And it's like, there are actually a lot of those places out there. You're not special for liking the Smiths. In a nice way, though.
That's the great acceptance of life, isn't it? Is that you find out that eventually you're not special. You know, you go to your high school and you're the only person who likes one thing, and then suddenly you move out. You go, oh wait, there are other people.
Yeah, and you can choose that to be a depressing fact, or you could.
Oh no, it's a wonderful thing. The minute Jay found out. We both found out we liked Twin Peaks. I thought, you like Twin Peaks? The only people that liked Twin Peaks were people that I forced to watch it. What's the change? I've got plenty, but have you got any?
I'm going to preempt you here. More airtime for Miss Joan Cusack. This is controversial.
Okay.
Rocky Horror, because in retrospect, they're performing Rocky Horror for the most part as minors. At least for some of the film, they are 17 years old. And we don't know how long they've been doing it for either. This is kind of like a regular deal. So I would maybe change it. You can still have the appreciation of, the film. Maybe they can watch it rather than be starring in it.
Yeah, Emma getting about being young is bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't sit quite well with me. It just occurred to me watching it this time around. I was like, these people are in high school.
Yeah, that is true. Have you ever done the live Rocky Horror thing? Have you ever seen it live?
I haven't, but it's coming to the new theatre in Wales this summer.
Ugh.
COVID dependent.
Wales.
So I'm going to get the gang down. Doubt.
It is weird, like, that one person can make me hate all of Wales. I don't know what it is.
Crazy.
That person is Tom Jones. No, I'm kidding. As we famously know, I have a list of 5.
Why, Delilah?
Delilah, great track. Do you have any other changes?
I would cut the bulimist joke. I've never understood it. Everyone that I've read in forums has never understood it. I feel like it was just it was a device to make her seem quirky and troubled, and I just don't think there was any need for it.
I think it's a bit like if we got the he's having a breakdown next October joke at the start of the film.
Yeah.
Because if we had more time with her bulimia, I don't think she's lying. I think she did have bulimia, and now they're at a point where not necessarily they can joke about it. No, they can joke about it. They're at a point where she feels comfortable with Patrick that they can joke about it. Or are there people that say that she never had bulimia, that she's just making fun of it, or what?
It kind of begs the question, really, because it's never touched upon again. It's just a throwaway line. And it feels like, because it's never touched upon again, it comes across as just a bit of edgy humor that doesn't really seem like something Sam would say. I don't know.
I was just sorry there's a thing of like, oh, that's something that's in the past now. That like having
potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an option.
I would kill Craig at the end. No.
Do like in Titanic. The stock market crashed and he shot himself. But a
bullet in his mouth.
Yeah, but a big. Yeah. She needs to get more graphic. She put a big gun in his mouth and blew his brains out. Yeah.
I mean, Charlie is narrating the events that transpire afterwards, so you could just tack it on the end.
You should go.
He'd been cheating on her the whole time, and then he was hit by a bus.
Yeah, and then the stock market crashed. But I heard that year he put a gun in his mouth.
Craig, the stockbroker.
Craig, that's a film I'd watch. Not really. Right, do you have any other changes?
I think that's it. Rocky Horror, bulimist, Joan.
I'll build up to the larger conversation, but here's a few things.
Sure.
Emma Watson's accent isn't as bad as everybody makes out. However, having her say the word shag in one of the first things that she says completely puts you, it just draws more attention to it straight away. It's like, shag. And it's like, oh, so we're immediately going, oh, wait, she's British. And it's a terrible choice. And also, I lived in America for 3.5 months, people, they don't say shag. The one time I accidentally said shag, not accidentally, it was like, but the one time I said shag was, everyone was like, what's that? And I was like, have you never read Lady Chatterley's Lover? And they
and like there's similar tier, cuss words that you could have easily screw, like it's just unnecessary.
And it puts us more so in the perspective of she's English. Anytime they're like, oh my god, you like the Smiths? I don't like the sound design at the party where they're making the milkshake, because, you know, it's that typical thing of the only good club/party scene is Social Network, because David Fincher is a genius and he made them shout. And then
that does make sense.
The amount of bloody club scenes and party scenes where people are just talking, oh yeah, I love you, or whispering to each other. And there's a pulsating gathering happening in the background is insane. And it just draws more attention to the fact that they didn't know what they were doing. I don't think.
Also, whose house is it?
They say they're going to King's.
Well, King's is the diner.
Oh.
And then I think maybe it's Bob's house.
Bubble Boy is on the front porch, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh, the girl from the waitress didn't put out. She was a tease or whatever, which is weird. It's like,
yeah.
And then he's saying it to Sam as if she set them up. I don't know.
Well, they talked about it at the football game, saying that he's still trying to pursue her, and they don't approve of it. So it's a cheeky callback.
Welcome to the island of. Welcome to the Island of Misfit Toys was a huge cringe. It was insane. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Drink driving. That's a big change. Lots of drink driving.
Is there?
Yeah, they're always drinking, and then they're always driving or smoking.
See, I don't think Patrick drinks though. In a lot of them, because there's the whole thing of Brad would get wasted and then they would have sex, and then he decided he didn't need to get wasted anymore. So I feel like that could have been a conjoined choice.
And then we have allusions to maybe Sam not drinking anymore either because of her experiences in the first year.
Exactly.
Throws me off with the solo cups, I guess. They needed to have cans of Coke.
Grape juice.
Or maybe just a shitty throwaway line of Charlie, you know, offering her a drink and going, "No, I'm okay.
I don't do that anymore.
I don't drink. I don't do that anymore." And then she goes into a terrible monologue, which I'm very thankful there are no grand monologues in this. We have a close one with Patrick doing the relaying of the beating scene that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
And that's good, mainly because of Ezra Miller's performance and the writing's subtle. I'm glad that there's no grand scene of, and also every time it's just illusions. The closest we get is the first time I had a kiss, it was my dad's boss, and it's subtle and it's left there. We don't have this grand. And he took me, and we kissed.
Yeah, because
in my life,
you know, it's very human. You know, they don't know how to approach these topics, and it's very natural.
There's a weird a thing of like how all of these people who have experienced one different thing of trauma have managed to find each other, which I say is a change, but then it's not a change because obviously things like that happen all the time. You know, people who have been hurt find each other who have been hurt. Where am I next? Poetry writes me. I get it. It's funny, of like, ha ha ha, look at Craig, he's a dick. But also, you know, it's not really, I that one, it's a bit too much. A
bit on the nose. Yeah.
Exactly. But Bust a Move is, he's right. Bust a Move does need to be put on over. Somewhere to smile, somewhere to
I like the
smile.
nod as well to a tape with the song Asleep on it twice. This is the gayest array of presents. I must have accidentally gifted it to myself.
A book about Harvey Milk. What if it was a DVD of the film Milk? It wouldn't be because it's 1991. Milk, good movie.
Well, they actually set it to be ambiguous, so it could have been in any era.
Oh.
Because of all the cassette tapes and
it
various
feels like
cars.
91 though. It's I can't remember. In the research, it said it was set in 1991. Obviously, it doesn't say. The year was 1991, and it never crossed my mind to stop calling my Aunt Helen my favorite person. Dune.
I'm not a fan of that crossover.
And then Be My Baby strikes up.
No one puts Charlie in the corner.
No, I'm gonna dance, and I'm gonna dance my way with the kind of music I like.
Come on, Eileen.
Great. I'd watch that. I wouldn't. I think her saying "I love you" is irresponsible. I don't think. I think she should say, "I want your first kiss to be someone who cares for you."
That's the thing. It's one of those like romantic moments that you appreciate through a film lens, but not. Same as in Love Actually, where he does all the cue cards, and then Keira Knightley gives them a kiss, and she's like, "All right, bye." It's like you just blatantly cheated on your husband.
Terrible film. I hate
Love
Love
Actually.
Life. I've always hated Love Actually. It's not funny.
I hadn't seen it until this year. No. I boycotted it until then.
I hate Love Actually. It's not funny, and people keep talking about it as like you know misogynist and unrealistic and everything, but I just don't like it because it's not funny. I feel
like people have definitely jumped on the bandwagon of liking it this year.
It's weird. It comes in ebbs and flows. I remember last year it was like loads of articles of like, why do we still like Love Actually? And I was like, good. And they're talking about how the fact it's not funny. And then every article would be, sure, it's funny. No, it's not. No, I think she should say, I care for you. I get the sentiment, and the scene builds into it well, obviously with the setup of her trauma, and it leads into it very well, and it builds to it well. But I think it's one of the one scenes where Emma Watson is really, really good. But I think it should be care for you than love.
I mean, the film is, first and foremost, it's a celebration of platonic love. But
yeah, but is it though? Is it though?
Because
okay, but then what's the ending then?
Well, they don't end up together. They kind of.
Then what's the kiss?
This is the thing. You don't need to like put a label on because it's such a pure love for each other that
you kiss on the lips.
It doesn't matter what they've defined it as, and obviously
no, of course.
He has to kind of take things slowly. But it's the fact that they will always come back to each other because they're friends first.
In the book, does it just say I'm with her and she's looking at me? Is there a mention of a kiss?
I don't remember.
Because for me, that's
like
the end. That needs to be the ending.
Like it wasn't included.
I think the kiss is a step too far.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hope, obviously, that he will engage, if that's what he wants, in a romantic, sensual relationship. But it just feels out of place.
I think maybe I would have kept the kiss goodbye, but not the kiss at the very end. Do you know what I mean? Before they drive away.
Oh yeah, that works. Yeah. Especially after the night that they've had. Yeah.
Yeah, but then maybe like axe the one at the end because it's a pure moment full of love all on its own. You know.
So something on vinyl is then seen to be the gift that Aunt Helen was getting for him.
Yes, but then I think it morphs into different things.
Right.
I'm not sure because I swear in one flashback it was something else.
Oh, okay. Then that makes sense.
But I'm not entirely sure of that.
No.
Obviously, like it changes from what she says to him as well. So she says, "I'm just going to get your birthday present," and then it morphs into, "This will be our little secret." So you never know what she actually does. Well, you know she gets hit by the car, but you don't know precisely her motivation. Charlie's under the impression that she was getting his birthday present, but it's all warped.
It's all askew, and he needs Joan Cusack to help him. The blackout at the fight obviously serves the purpose of blackouts as being part of his depression and trauma, but also I think it's more or less there because I think you would never believe Logan Lerman managing to punch three people.
Three different people, two of them holding Patrick, just getting three solid punches. Yeah, he just takes two and knocks their heads together like in a cartoon.
Yeah, I think that's why it's
runs away.
What is it with fucking people in movies and whatever going, walking off and crying, and having the people have to read the letter. Just say, I got him. Just say, oh.
Honestly, I like that because you don't know. You don't know if she did or not.
Charlie.
She's overwhelmed. She's overwhelmed.
Oh, come on, nobody's that overwhelmed.
She's worked for.
And the one thing I don't like in the breakdown is when he's walking down the street and there's two of them. I think that's it. It's just a bit. How can we make this small?
Yeah, it kind of it goes against the style that they've kind of maintained.
What's left from Rhian's notes?
What is left from this? I mean, it's just a brilliant. I still think it is a celebration of platonic love.
Okay.
But I think the important distinction is they don't fix him. You know, Patrick says repeatedly, you know, you can't save people. And yes, there's moments when he's distanced from his friends and then he starts to get bad again. But I think the important thing is, like, even once they are back in his life, it doesn't completely erase his issues, but it does put him in a better place to deal with them.
Which is why the kiss completely, you know, I feel the kiss completely, you know, just undermines it all that you're talking about.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it shows how the right people in your life can make you feel like you can do anything.
This is true.
And they'll love you for all your scars.
Foibles.
Yeah.
Anything else from your notes?
I'm gonna get my feminist film hat on for a moment because technically this film doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
All right.
Some people have said, oh, there's that one scene where Alice and Mary Elizabeth talk about their SAT scores, but it's kind of like a throwaway thing. But I think it just owes to the fact that they're all in a group. So, you know, the men are always present, even if they're not being talked about. But I think you can kind of accept it because the female characters, they're not just there to serve other people. You know, they're three-dimensional. They've got their own hopes and aspirations, and they have an impact on each other. And I really like Sam's line towards the end where she says, I don't want to be somebody's crush, because it kind of shrugs off you know, until that point you can kind of think, oh, you know, it's very manic pixie, but she's actively trying not to be the subject of someone's infatuation. She wants to be loved for who she is. So. Well,
I mean, you know, I guess it's not my place to comment, but I think that sort of the Bechdel test often does add an unnecessary label to the texts that aren't remotely sexist, you know, are wholly feminist. And I think it sort of puts an odd box of like, yeah, technically this doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And I think a lot of people think that means one thing. As you've clearly just enunciated, it doesn't mean that one thing.
Exactly.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. The other thing I had was that, yeah, obviously it shines a light on trauma without romanticizing it. I think that is really effective, and for them to do that in like 2011 as well is quite groundbreaking.
Yeah. And yeah, as you say, he's not fixed by the end. He's meeting Joan at 6 on Thursday. It's very early, I thought, but I guess Joan doesn't sleep. She's always helping people 24 hours. A few notes. Julia Garner's in this. She's in the background. Love Julia Garner. Can Kate Walsh play any other roles other than mothers of?
But she does it remarkably well, doesn't she?
Mothers of people going through serious trauma.
I think she should have had more screen time now that we can see what she can do.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be happier with a longer version of this film, because I think this is a very nice, tight hour 40, and never outstays its welcome, and never really has a dull scene. I've got my little changes, but there's not really a scene that I'd lift. However, Yeah, I would gladly spend more time with Paul Rudd. I'd gladly watch the movie where Paul Rudd is the teacher, maybe a bit more cliche, where Paul Rudd is the teacher that helps him. And I'd gladly watch the familial relationship drama where his mother and I would gladly spend more time with Dylan McDermott and Paul Rudd and Kate Walsh at any time in my life.
Well, the family does play a bigger part in the book,
right?
But it's not as kind of it hints at some more darkness. Like there's a chapter where his dad hits him for being mean to his Aunt Helen, and obviously he doesn't know.
Yeah. I think that put that in. Give it more dimensions.
I feel like it's got enough layers to it.
Oh yeah,
without kind of
overbearing.
But yeah, and like you say, it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think the pacing of it is really good, because with that, where the breakdown is as well, it's kind of towards the end. You think, oh, we're supposed to be winding down, and then this big thing happens, and it kind of doesn't follow the typical climax and resolution arc. But it goes to show that it can happen anytime. I've called it a twist a few times, but as much as it is a twist on the first watch, I remember me and my sister watching it, and my sister loudly going, "Oh no, oh no," because it does come not out of. Well, this is the thing. On a first watch, it comes out of nowhere, and then second watch. Well, no, even that first watch, you go, "Oh wait, oh," and it's very well set up and delivered. Yeah, it doesn't come out of the blue to the point where you're like, "What's that about?"
It's not a dun 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 moment. It's a soft piano.
That's why it's a realization.
It's a dun 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 dun. Oh, that metaphor was going. I love your Billie Holiday and foreign films. These are two of my favorite things. So. I love my final subtitle of 70s art rock song playing. I hate We Are Infinite. I think that's just terrible. But the
fact that it switches tenses as well.
I am infinite, we are infinite. Yeah, I get it. But it's just however, I do like and the song kicking in. It's very good. It's very good. Yeah. And as you say, it's pure euphoria, not the show.
Are you a fan of Emma Watson's scream at the end?
I am actually. Are you not? Is this?
I am. Oh, yeah, I just thought you'd have something to say.
Well, let's do this now. Let's recast Emma Watson. Or are you completely against it?
I'm not completely
make your
against
case.
It. I love Emma Watson. I feel she gives a kind of softness and subtlety to it, while also being, fierce and feisty and fun, whatever. I would not be opposed to recasting it. I'm just not sure who would do it justice.
I'm going to type in now 30-year-old actresses, because they're the same age as Emma Watson, and hence would have been the same age then. Here are the names we've got. Emma Watson. Jennifer Lawrence is a no.
Yeah, no. It'd be too gimmicky.
Kristen Stewart.
See, Kristen Stewart gets a bad rap because after Twilight, everyone's like, "Oh, she can't act." It's just a badly written character.
But she's excellent in Adventureland.
Exactly.
Love Adventure. Actually, no. There's my answer. It's Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart in Adventureland is the version of Sam that I want in this film.
We've seen accent-wise from Little Women. Saoirse Ronan wouldn't do a totally poor job, but I don't know if she'd be the right age.
Women have minds and they have thoughts.
I don't want to be somebody's crush. I think that would.
Welcome to the island of misfit toys. She has to say everything like this. No, Margot Robbie. Bit too beautiful, I guess. If we're going to make, not that Emma Watson isn't beautiful, and not that Margot Robbie can play quote unquote ugly, as we saw in I, Tonya. But
you've just given me a thought. Rachel McAdams.
Ooh. How old?
But as she was in About Time.
About Time, famously.
Do you?
Oh.
Well, that's for another day.
Oh, Taylor Louderman again. To figurine, I guess. And the other one, we've got Lauren Potter from Glee, who drops the gun. Sue's helper. Sarah Hyland. They're all the same sort of. I think Kristen Stewart, although if we're sticking with somebody who has to be 30 currently, which is I set myself. I guess. How about fine then. Of all time.
I did have an extra thought. Shailene Woodley.
Mm.
We've seen she can rock a pixie cut.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch Big Little Lies?
I didn't.
Excellent.
Put it on my list.
Excellent. Fine then. Of all time, because obviously the ideal casting for Charlie is Dustin Hoffman in 1962 when he's about to play The Graduate. So of all time, you can.
So regardless of
anybody in the age of Sam, anybody in the role of Sam.
See, my initial thought was Tom Hanks, but I'm going against it.
In Sam, as Sam.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like with a kind of Forrest Gump edge.
Charlie. I guess the sort of well, I don't know. See, I'm saying all this, but I'm in a position where I it's hard. Maybe an unknown. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Four Keeps with Molly Ringwald the other week, and the guy that was in that, I think his name's Randall Batinkoff. I don't know how much he did beyond that movie, but he's very good.
How about Molly Ringwald as Sam?
That I would watch.
Mm.
That I would watch.
What role was originally written for Molly Ringwald? Oh, this is going to drive me.
Was it Labyrinth?
No, it was Sloane. It was Sloane because obviously John Hughes she was his muse for a while. And then he didn't like her relationship with Anthony Michael Hall. That's a weird sort of thing to look at. A few fun facts, but we're not going to look at it now. We're going to look at a few fun facts.
Yeah.
Emma Watson reportedly said that she took the role because Stephen Chbosky told her that not only is this going to be one of the most important parts you ever play, bigging it up a little, you're also going to have the summer of your life and meet some of your best friends. She later reported that all these things were true.
That's sweet.
Speaking of John Hughes originally bought the film rights with the intention to write and direct. He intended to make the film as more of a dark comedy with Shia LaBeouf as Charlie, Kirsten Dunst as Sam. I like that. I found this fact earlier and I forgot.
I don't know about that.
Oh, are you not a Dunst head?
Well, just the idea of it being a dark comedy in general, and Shia LaBeouf. I think they dodged a bullet with that.
Yeah, because I guess if you do go for that, I mean, Heathers is a masterclass in tone, but and never underplays the seriousness of the serious.
That's true enough. Yeah.
Things, but that's obviously not a John Hughes film, so we don't know.
Winona Ryder as Sam.
Oh yeah, Christina Ricci as Sam. This is great. Let's do all the Tim Burton lead, female lead.
Johnny Depp as Charlie. Why not?
Edward Scissorhands. What a goddamn film. Alan Arkin and Diane Wiest. One of my favourite film mums and dads. Hughes' sudden death, however, stalled the project. Patrick Fugit cast as Patrick Fugit. Who's that name? Let me double check. Yes, no, obviously he died tragically and very suddenly. Patrick Fugit from Almost Famous. It's the kid from Almost Famous who's then the officer in Gone Girl and the whole film. I was like, that's the kid from Almost Famous. I can see that, maybe. I guess, yeah, I can see that. The scene in which Mr. Anderson asked Charlie's English class several literary questions, to which everyone except Charlie doesn't know the answers to, is a reference to a similar scene in the movie Marathon Man. And I know this because when we did Marathon Man, one of my favourite films, I said, and bloody Percy the Wallflower stole it.
Well, it's an homage, it's not a rip-off.
I do love Marathon Man. Great film. Just nothing again. Is it safe? Just Stephen Chbosky knew he wanted to cast Emma Watson once he saw her in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and the scene where Ron breaks her heart and Harry consoles her.
It was really interesting to read.
She broke my heart in that scene. She is crying, and I just felt that she had all the vulnerability that Sam needed. You're more of a Harry Potter head than I am.
I am indeed. That was a turning point, I think. I agree, in her acting career, because you never see, she never was allowed to be vulnerable, like to that extent. It's interesting though, because I think she would have been about 16 filming that. So it's interesting that he saw something in her from that age.
Yeah. Some critics, here we go. So Stephen Chbosky says that the heroes, he gets it. He gets it. It's definitely unbelievable. However, he says it's true. He says, we don't believe it. And I'll put my hand on a Bible and say in the early 90s, David Bowie was Let's Dance to Me. He was that guy. The whole 70s Bowie, because I was more into grunge, I came late to him. Listen, if you say to me, the kids not knowing heroes is not realistic, I will cop to it. Anyone who has a bone to pick, I can't argue. But I swear to God, it was real. It just shows that Stephen Chbosky has terrible taste in music.
Well, he said himself he was with the more modern mainstream side of it.
During the Secret Santa party, Charlie hands out specific gifts. Patrick receives only a piece of paper. If you look at Patrick throughout the scene, he appears deeply troubled by whatever is written on the paper. In the novel, the paper contained a poem written by a teen who committed suicide by slashing their wrists after writing it. Obviously, foreshadowing.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. It's a bloody horrible poem, and I'm kind of glad they didn't feature it. And it's so long as well. It's like 3 pages long.
Cool. So it's like Beowulf. It's an epic poem. Tom's big question. I can't say I was ever especially bullied. I mean, I did have a terrible time in high school and related to bullies. But are bullies ever really, throw people about like that?
I mean, I guess it differs from place to place.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in where is it set?
I think it's Pittsburgh, because I saw the Pennsylvania skyline and I said, Philadelphia, take me back.
There we go.
Dear friend, I mean, who is it to? It's just a psychiatry device, I presume. Who is he imagining his friend to be?
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, it's nice because you, as the reader, you feel like it's you. And there's a point as well where Charlie says, don't make any, effort to figure out who I am. In fact, I've changed all of our names. And so his name isn't even Charlie, Sam's name isn't even Sam, etc. So it's a nice point of, this could be anyone because this happens to anyone. And it's that kind of anonymity.
This is true. Did you ever went to a school disco where they actually played good music? I was never at a school disco where they played Come on Eileen. I wish I was. I'm never at parties now where I control the music. Some, but it's the rarity.
You usually get DJ privileges at some point.
At
usually when
some point.
Most people have left.
Yeah, and then people start enjoying themselves, and it's like, oh, wow, no, they do. It always happens. Nobody dances, and then I put the music on, and people start dancing, and then it's like, let's put some new shit on. and then nobody dances anymore.
It's interesting that you never had that school disco experience because you've grown up to be a school disco announcer.
This is true. Scream if you want to go faster. Here's Build Me Up Buttercup. Play the top 40.
The tuck shop is now open.
Is the prank a bit too far? The painting pink of everything.
That made my mother wet herself laughing. She thought that was brilliant.
Oh, it is. It's great, but it's a bit too far. It was never like horrible to him or anything.
I mean, it's not a horrible prank, is it?
I think maybe not with the saws, but on some of the serious machinery.
I mean, like, yeah, I wonder if it would affect their functionality if it's got paint, like, makes it. Although you say he wasn't that mean to him, he kind of originated the whole nothing phenomenon, which is really like, it's that kind of stuff sticks with you.
Yeah, but he also maybe he thought it was like a joke because he said it and he's like, no, you're not going to do jokes in my classroom. He didn't know that it was going to turn into a gigantic thing.
I don't know. I think it kind of alludes to their ongoing relationship though, because he's been held back multiple times. And so he's, we can only assume that isn't the worst or the only thing that's been said to him.
This is true. And we touched on it a little bit. Do Sam and Charlie ever get together? Do they have a healthy, happy relationship sometime in their future? Or
personally, I love that we don't.
No, of course. Yeah.
Because my biggest pet peeve when it comes to romances is it's why I hated the end of Harry Potter. It's when
everybody's
they cut
up
to happy families, marriage. Because as young people, you can't begin to relate to that. You don't know what's in store. And so I think leaving it on that edge of, okay, we don't know what the future holds, but this right now is beautiful and I wouldn't have it any other way. That is what more films should be adopting.
And also it's been a lot, I haven't seen Harry Potter since the cinema, but they're all in couples with people who we've seen throughout the films, haven't we?
With the exception of like a few. So like Draco marries a nobody, Luna marries a nobody, we don't even see her in the final sequence. I think they could have just done completely fine ending it on the bridge with the three of them overlooking the ruins of the castle and then the pan out.
And I guess obviously if you're going to have them dropping the kids off at the train, they do have to be families. They do have to have children. It'd be weird if they were at the train station, not with a child. So I guess
just alumni kind of like, wow.
Oh yeah, guys, you're gonna have a great time. You go.
Remember when that was us?
This is just Ron, who's depressed after divorcing Hermione because that's not lasting, and he's just trying
That's
to.
What I mean, because it makes you pick at the threads of, okay, are they actually good for each other? Which I think they are, but
it's just Ron running at the wall. Let me back in. Let me back in.
The glory days of his youth.
And then he gets on a train to hog. I want to see the great Twilight Zone episode of Stop at Willoughby, where a man keeps going on a train, and then anytime he falls asleep on the train, he wakes up in Willoughby, this perfect town, and it's just depressed Ron, and he goes on, and he's like, stop at Hogwarts. And then obviously that wonderful episode ends with that man killing himself and living forever in Willoughby. Well, no, this is the thing. He falls asleep, and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. He's in Willoughby again, and he's fine. And then he stays in Willoughby, and then they find his body, and then it turns out that Willoughby is the name of the coffin carrier, and it's like, oh, it's so sad. Very good episode. Very good episode. And it doesn't romanticize it. I mean, I guess it does in the literal sense, but then we don't end in Willoughby. We end on his poor corpse and his wife reacting. And so it's a very well done episode, and it's bucolic, and it's just terrific. But enough about Harry Potter Twilight Zone crossovers. Had lots of good crossovers this episode. Dirty Dancing and Person being Wallflower, and now Harry Potter and imagine a world where teenage kids know that they're wizards. Rhian, it's you never will have final thoughts because it's your favourite film. But for now, do you have any final thoughts on The Perks of Being a Wallflower?
It transcends the time, and I've had a sense of shame around liking this film as fiercely as I did, but now I will put my hands up and say it is brilliant. Is it a perfect film? No. Will it always be a comfort and an inspiration to me? Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I have to say, it's not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly has a lot more good than it has bad. And for as much as I had my little picking nits, they're picking nits. There's no serious, apart from one major recasting. And that's more for conversation. She's not as terrible as people make out. It's certainly not her worst performance. I thought she genuinely, seriously affected Little Women, and my enjoyment of that film. And the Bling Ring, very bad.
I'll let her know.
Yeah, I guess one of my biggest changes is the fact that Stephen Chbosky enjoyed working with her, because it led to her being cast as Belle, which is her worst performance. Just terrible. Terrible film.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that.
I would. Right. I did. And I will again. Maybe it's because Beauty and the Beast is one of the most perfect films ever made, and to attempt to try and make it better is stupid.
Did you like The Beast? Because I did.
I love Dan Stevens. I'm not a Downton fan. I'm my ex was, and so she would show me certain episodes. But I'm not a Downton fan. But I'm a big The Guest fan, which is a wonderful horror thriller where Dan Stevens plays a charming Southern man who's a killer. Great film, and so I was very excited for that. Evermore's great. Oh, I know she'll never leave me.
That's making the rounds again on TikTok for some reason.
It's a good song.
They love him again.
It's certainly the best part of the film. But also, just stop moving that fucking camera just because you've got CGI.
Yeah, I did get vertigo from that.
No, I know, it's running about. Also, it's like in the bloody Prom where she was fully singing in the water. It's like, if he's running at that much speed, you can't sing. And I know it's a movie, and I know it's a musical, and that they shouldn't be singing. Anyway, speaking of musicals, next episode is a musical, but it's not a musical. It's a film that became a musical that The Guardian gave 1 star. I found out the other day. I have yet to. This is a film. This is the first of the 3 that I haven't seen, and it's Waitress. So I hope I enjoy it.
I think you will. It's a hometown delicacy. In that it's just nice and kitschy and fun. But it's got like heart as well. Yeah.
But this is one where I'm not going into it completely blind because I do know the show and don't like the show. So that's a...
You hurt me deep inside.
I'll give the music a listen. I'll give the soundtrack a full listen again by the time that we talk about Waitress. But alas, Rhian, it's been a pleasure. Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Pleasure being here.
Da ba da ba da ba da da.